All right, so I wanted to show you something that our students have discovered. So there is a new AI chat program that exists, and it will actually generate quite lengthy responses. So for example, let me just give you an example of a prompt that is used in some of our classes. If I type that prompt into our chat box, the AI then generates a response to this prompt. And it does it in real time. And the thing is, every time I generate a prompt, I put the same prompt in, I get a different response. So it's not just pulling these essays out of a big catalog of these things. It's not like it's going through an index and finding something and putting it together. If I hit try again, so we'll see what this looks like. If I hit try again, it will give me a different response. Now, the reason I wanted to bring this up is, as I said, our students know about it. And because it's generating a different prompt every time, simply running it through Turnitin won't necessarily tell you that it's real. Let me give you another prompt here. And again, so these prompts I just pulled out of Schoology from a couple different teachers' assignments, just so that I would have something to work with. And you can do things like, maybe I know my teacher's never going to believe that I would have written this long of a response to this question, so I might write, and that might be more typical of an answer that you would see to a question like this on your typical homework. So how do we work with this? So I asked my friend Serge for a couple of prompts this weekend, and he gave me this prompt from a recent debate that his students were in. Had no problem with it. He gave me a prompt from a DBQ from his US history class that it also had no problem with. In fact, after reading the answer that the US history DBQ provided, he said it would have earned all the points. Now, again, will every single time we type in this DBQ earn all of the points? Not necessarily, but it might. Now, so how do we get around something like this? There are a couple of things that we have access to. One is we can ask different questions. So when I asked him to actually give me a prompt that he would have used from his class, he gave me this prompt, which I will put in as soon as this is done typing. Here we go. He gave me this prompt. The book A Mercy by Toni Morrison is one that they read and they talked about in class. I asked Mr. Hayden to give me a prompt, and the prompt was something about how the Romans felt about monarchy, but he specifically said the prompt on his test was specifically using examples from class, explain how the Romans felt about monarchy. And again, this chat AI is not able to do that. And when I remove the from class and just type the general prompt in, he says it was able to answer it, but it was not able to use any of the references from class that he had used. And so he said it would not have earned all of the points. And in fact, it might not have earned any points. So that's another way to get around some of these things, is asking for very specific references to support their answers. Anyway, I wanted to make this available. I wanted to make sure you all knew this was there, particularly before you send some of these essay questions home as final exam prompts. So if they have a take-home essay to do, you might want to keep in mind that this sort of tool exists, and it's much more powerful than just going into Google and typing the prompt in and going, oh, I didn't find a page. So if nothing else, when you're sending some of these essays home, it might be worth your time to spend a couple of minutes on chat.openai.com, type your prompt in, and see what kind of responses you get, and see whether you might want to modify your prompt to make it a little bit more resistant to uh, this sort of tool.